Okay, let's start with the second topic, that is drone equipment and maintenance. So as we fly the drone, we need to make sure that we are taking care of drone. We know the components of the drone, and if in case any maintenance is required, we should be able to, take care, provided we are being trained for doing those activities. Okay, so drone equipment and maintenance. So, what is drone equipment and maintenance? What does comes to your mind when we uh, think about drone equipment and maintenance?
The components of drones, the subcomponents of drones, the accessories of drones, and how to make sure that they are running smooth,
Hmm.
and making sure that it has not caused any adverse effect by us.
Correct.
I mean, the controllable aspects.
So, ideally, we will always see that the components of the drone after the flight and even before the flight. We will make sure that the drone is in a flyable conditions.
Okay.
Okay, so there is something called pre-flight and post-flight, and there is something also called as in-flight checklist. Okay, so ideally the pre-flight is more important because before you fly your drone, you have to make sure that it is validated, checked properly, and then only you fly the drones. So what all things are there uh, with respect to the drones maintenance? We'll just see through it. So, introduction. Regular usage may result in wear and tear, okay, of UAV, thus requiring regular maintenance checks. Comprehensive maintenance has to be performed after 200 flights or 50 flight hours.
Yes.
Now, see, this number we have taken it based on the OEM's inputs. Okay, so based on the manuals, whatever the OEM manual specifies that after every 200 flights or maybe 50 flight hours, you need to do comprehensive maintenance. Comprehensive means in detail, in
Okay.
depth.
Okay.
Okay, whereas regular maintenance is like a day-to-day flight. Like every time I'm flying a drone, I'm doing just a checks. So
Okay.
pre-flight and post-flight checks per flight. Okay, pre-flight and flights checks per flight you have to do it. Every time you plan to fly your drone, you should do pre-flight. Every time you land your drone, you should do post-flight check.
Post flights.
Okay. Maintenance checklist and manuals with standard operating procedures. So you should use maintenance checklist and manuals with standard operating procedures. With they would be provided by the company for which the drones would be there, or probably from the OEM itself. Okay, either of this will always provide you the maintenance checklist and manuals with the standard
So what is OEM?
operating company normally we called as OEM,
Acha, okay, okay, okay.
right? So basically, normally OEM is a what we call as a IT word. Okay, original equipment manufacturer.
Understood, understood.
Whosoever manufactures that particular product is the
No,
OEM.
I thought there is some different terminology for it. That is why I asked.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Structural. So when we see from a checklist perspective, we need to see the first is with respect to the checklist will be always a structural physical verification. Okay, so what we'll see: clean airframe of mud or dirt, inspect airframe for any kind of cracks. Okay, check if there are screws, screws, nut bolts, what have been fit, check whether they are loose, tight, and all the things. check the propellers if propellers are been damaged or some kind of thing. Check the propeller movement, like you just give a push by your hand to check that propeller is moving smoothly. Okay, see whether motor is having any kind of a debris or obstructions. Okay, so when you move, if there is a mud or debris gone inside the motor, you will see that motor is not feeling smoothly. Okay, check the status of wiring, solder joints. If you find anywhere there is a connectors, like you will have a power connector, or you will be have a telemetry connectors, or there would be a connecting going to the water pump in agriculture drone, or there might be a connector going to your gimbal or camera, for power and all that. So check all those wirings what you can see from outside. See, this structural inspection is physical verification from the outside part, whatever you can see through your eye. Okay, inspect the, like, check the gimbal and camera lens is clean, or check the landing gear condition. See the landing gear is proper, it's not bent, or it's not properly in a shape or something like that, or it is damaged, cracked. In that
Okay.
scenario, you should always see if this kind of thing. Check the antenna is positioned properly or not. Check the control station for faulty components. So your control station, even your GCS. Okay, sometimes, I mean, one of the guy,
Mhm.
while carrying, he thought it is just a suitcase, it was closed, and while carrying he dropped that control station, and because of that shock to that control station, there was one device which was acting like an antenna to that ground control station, that has become loose, and during the operation we lost the signal receiving from the drone, and we didn't know what was happening. We tried to reboot the GCS. Again, we saw that it is not receiving signal. Then we have to initiate something called as RTH. Okay, return to home. The drone got landed. Then we checked. We tried to figure it out what, and then we have to open the top panel of the GCS, and then we saw that there was a the antenna which was actually got loosed. Okay, and then over the period time we understood that this was happened because one of the guy who was carrying this equipment has dropped that case. Okay, so in that shock, that antenna got loosed over there. Okay, so check the control station for any faulty components. If there could be some wires also going from, you might have an external antenna connected to the control station also. So there might be a connectors on your control station and all, or sometimes even in the remote also. Remote also you can connect to your ground station. So there is a wire aux cable which is connecting from your aux to USB cable will be there. So that cable, or maybe a C type cable would be required. So you can connect that C type cable from your RC to your laptop also, and that's how you can set up your ground control also and all. So check all wherever possibility. It is your observation. What could be wrong? Okay. Sometimes even the orientation of the motors, orientation of the propellers are not proper and all that. So physically, see everything should be in a normal condition. Okay. See that you don't see anything abnormal. So that is the structural inspections you should do. So what are other things you need to check? Second is battery check. So inspect the charger for any visible damage. Inspect the battery packs for bulge or leakages. Charge all the batteries. So you charge all your batteries and keep ready. So if you have a three set, some people keep three set, five sets, kind of thing. Some people even keep 10 sets of batteries also. Okay, so depending
Okay.
upon whatever battery, and then not only batteries you should keep it, you should label them also, 1 2 3 4 5, because then you should follow the cycle. One हुआ तो two use करना है, two के बाद three use करना है, four use करना है, that's how your cycle of usage of battery तो पता. Then if you do not label them or not number them, you will not know which battery has been used. You need to maintain a battery log also. Okay, so what time you have used battery? Let's say I put the battery number one at 10 a.m. Then I flew my drone for 30 minutes or 20 minutes. Okay, then my drone got landed. I changed battery one to battery two. My battery one goes for charging.
Charging.
Battery two I go. So this cycle, this the more what do you say? You do it properly, structured way. You will be your equipment will give you the returns also in such a way, and it will be easier to track in case of any problem or malfunction. Okay, or in case of issues. Software firmware updates, like in DJI normally they suggest always keep your software updated with the latest and all things. Update
Mhm. Correct.
control station software also as required. Okay, and then as I said that whatever you are doing, whether it is a structural battery check, software firmware. Keep your maintenance report. Track your whatever activity. Even though it's a documentation, you should rate battery 1 10 a.m. till 10:30. Battery 2 11 a.m. to 11:30. Battery 3 12 p.m. to 12:30 p.m. Like that, you should keep a track. So you know which battery was utilized when the particular operation of the drone was utilized, what battery was in usage. That you should know, and then you will know your flight time also. From 12 p.m. I was using battery 3, and this was my flight time. So you will may start, say you said 12 p.m. I started flying, 12:20 I landed my plane, or maybe 12:25 I landed my drone. So you know that 25 minutes flight time you have got from battery number 3. From battery number 2 you may just get to 20 minutes, for example. Okay, I'm just thinking. So you might think that battery 2 might be having a problem. Okay, so you can try to see why it is giving me less flight time,
Yeah.
something like that. So that how you can compare your battery life cycle also. In case it is under warranty, you can always log a case with the battery OEM, and probably they may ask you to, if it is in the warranty or anything, you may get it replaced sometimes over the period. Let's say if the OEM is saying that your battery has 200 cycles, and within, let's say, 50 cycles or 100 cycles, you may see the battery is not giving you optimal performance and you are still under the warranty, you can always get your battery replaced, or
Yeah.
maybe some compensation or some replacement would come, or they might say that okay, you may share the battery, or normally they will replace it because they will not waste time in finding out why this is happening. So they will ask you to send a battery back. In their factory they may get it checked, and whatever. Sometimes, since it's a multi-cell battery kind of thing, so the cell might one particular cell might be giving a problem. So in that scenario they may just change that cell, and then probably that battery might be used for some other customer to send it back, or give a replacement kind of thing. So mostly, the not necessary every time you get a battery replaced, they're fresh packed. Okay, it depends upon the cycle. If you say you have passed out some 50 100 cycles, so you may get a refurbished kind of battery also.
Okay.
It depends upon, again, OEM to OEM, what is their procedure to do. Okay, so whatever you do in the maintenance part and thing, keep a track of your maintenance. Keep a track of whatever changes, whatever your observation. Whenever you do, even there is no defect, everything is good, normal, perfect, still maintain that tick, everything okay, 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 and then you just put a date, so you know when what was the status at that point in time for your road.
Got it.
Okay, so structural, clean airframe or mud or dirt. So over the time, drone will gather layers of dirt from the rigor of flight, transport, and storage. A lot of time, even just by keeping a drone on a shelf, will also have a mud or a dust accumulated on it. So even before flight, you should make sure that you are cleaning the drone properly. Okay, like just अपने car अपने garage में लगाया. So it's not necessary whatever the way, if you have kept the car clean, it will be clean after 1 month. If it is just standing in your garage for 1 month, okay. So thin layer of dust, mud, or anything could got accumulated on your glass winds or on the top of your car. Similarly, on the what do we call the drone also, you will have this kind of problems. Batteries has to be disconnected, drone needs to be powered on, use air dusters or in combination microfiber cloth, remove most of the dirt and build up. Care has to be taken when dealing with the sensitive electronic components. So what are the tools required, like anti-static cloth, small cleaning brush. There would be a locations where the cloth may not go inside, so you may use a small smooth brush kind of thing, or you can use a compressed air canister also, like small dusters are there, or you can use a blower also. There is a blower is also available. You should always make sure that you are wearing an anti-static wristband, because a lot of time the static electricity may cause some damage to the electronic equipments and all that. And
Understood.
you can also use isopropyl alcohol to clean in case there is a mud or dust within the, like, motors, especially the motor would have it. So sometimes if you feel there is a dust or mud gone inside the motor, and so you have to disconnect the motor, and you have to drop it into the isopropyl, so that mud will get dissolved, and then you can use the air canister or the blower to blow that dry mud, whatever is there. Okay.
Got it.
So carefully inspect the airframe from for damage. You should perform this check on a regular basis. Ensure all parts are serviced accordingly. Even the see, this is very critical. A lot of people ignore this parameter. Even the smallest crack can cause the critical
Critical
problem.
problem if left unnoticed.
Okay, lot of air crash investigation has happened because lot of time the maintenance engineer has ignored the small cracks. Okay, so they may have ignored, and the next flight itself, the aircraft could have crashed. That also has happened. So it is a thumb rule which says that even the smallest crack can cause a critical problem if left unnoticed. So you should immediately address. If you feel that this is a critical, you should immediately address.
Okay,
During routine maintenance, check each component extremely carefully and make a note of damage you find. So if you whatever you find damage, you should make a note of it.
got it.
Don't ignore. Even the smallest crack should be taken seriously. Okay, because see, this is basically from the aviation. From drone, sometimes small things will people will see, okay, okay, manageable. But in airlines or in aviation world, smallest crack is also a critical for us, because there we are talking about human lives.
Yeah,
100 people you are taking in the aircraft. Okay, ensure every component is securely tied in place during the maintenance or repair. It is likely that some components will need to be removed or replaced. Okay, a lot of time our propellers also get worn out because of multiple times. You know, it's flying, it is rotating at a very high speed. Okay, a lot of time because of the dust or something. You know, there would be chipping happening in the, or the usage wear and tear also happens. So that time we may have to change the propeller, so we have to remove the screws and all that thing. So you know, or you know, the bolts, fastening bolts, or you know, fasteners are there, or safety clips are there. So a lot of people ignore, you know, basic things. So make sure that we are fastening it properly. Do not over tight. Sometimes because of over tightening, the screw or nut bolt also can cause damage to the structure. Okay, so this can lead to excessive strain on joints and do even more damage. Okay, so like you see, check propellers for damage. Dirty, chipped,
yeah,
cracked propeller damage can go unnoticed until it proves critical. Inspection for cracks, proper fitting of props to the motor. Unattended cracks can lead to mid-flight failure also. Double check the type of propeller. Again, when you are seeing the propellers, you should know which propeller is connected to which motor. So that means clockwise motor should always have a clockwise propeller. Counterclockwise motor should always have a counterclockwise propeller. So,
understood, understood.
so sometimes people, you know, while putting वो निकालते वक्त देखता नहीं है, and they just replace. And
Hmm.
then later on we understood that on a clockwise motor he has put anti-clockwise or counterclockwise propeller, so which will, you know, cause a lot of problems while flying. You know, you will not have a stable flight or something like that. Check for smooth spinning of each propeller. So when you have to replace the propeller, check the smoothness of the motor which has been connected, or new propeller where you have fixed.
Got it.
If you are repairing or checking the internal structure of the drone, okay,
Hmm.
so in that scenario, check the exposed wiring for any wear tear outs. So whatever the wires you can see externally, you check that. In case you want to check internally, so you can open the chassis and inspect the internal wirings. There might be over the period of time of flying, because of the weather, heat, and all that things. A lot of time wherever the solder joints are there, they may become dry, or they may get disconnected over period of time. Okay, so sometimes they break also. So make sure that you may have to resolder them, or probably, you know, clean them and put them back properly. Make sure you are complying with the unit manual before performing any repair. So all these things what you are doing, you should make sure that you are aware of the procedure to do it. If you are not aware of it, you should not do it, or you should refer manual and then do it at your own risk. Okay, if the device is under warranty or anything, you should never attempt to do all these kind of things. You should always refer to a technician or to the OEM service center,
Okay.
or you may have to log a call so that the technician can come. Like last session, we wanted to check our drones for the healthiness and other things, since we have a AMC with the OEM. So in a year we are supposed to get our drone 3 or 4 times to be checked by the technician. So last time when students were there, I called the technician to do the check, so that student also can, you know, see how the technician does his work. Okay, so we just got the technician to run through the check. Rather we doing or I doing the check, I demonstrated to the students that okay, see how technician does it. Okay, so that was the experience. Uh, just for the sake of doing utilizing my AMC part as well as giving experience to the students. Okay, check the motor for debris or obstruction. So if you are authorized and if you are having knowledge of how to open the motor and do all the things, then only you should do all the things, or you should not do it. Okay, so it should be done by a skilled technicians only. So remove the proper adapters, get proper motors, use air dusters to clean any possible dirt inside the casing, remove the casing for further cleaning of debris by following the model specific maintenance manual. So you should always refer to the manual how the motor has to be removed, how the motor can be dismantled. If you are
Okay.
not aware of these things, don't do it. Go for
Okay.
service center or go for call for technicians to do it. Because see, this motor is a very small motor, but the motors what we actually see in a bigger drones, in agriculture drones, they are very costly. Like some motor may cost you 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, 40,000 of the cost of the motor itself.
Okay.
So in that scenario, you cannot take a chance. Okay, so you may damage the motor. The winding might get break, or maybe the alignment with respect to the ball bearings or the armature would get problematic also. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Got it.
just to avoid that thing, unless you are not skilled or trained for that activity, you should not perform that. Okay, structural inspection, check unit camera. I mean, if you have a camera or a gimbal and all the things, you should always check for any kind of a dust. If there is thing, you should use appropriate tools. See, that's very important. Normally I have seen people cleaning the lens with the cloth or maybe by handkerchief, which is not a ideal or a right
It
way.
will cause scratches and all, right?
It may cause some scratch. Like assume there is some dust on the glass. By rubbing your this thing, rather removing the problem, you may create a problem. Okay, so you should use the right tools. Whatever is required for that particular component for cleaning purpose. Check the landing gear condition. Without this model, drone would not be able to perform a safe landing. So that's very critical for landing perspective. So check, make sure the legs, feet of the unit are not bent or cracked. All rubber spring shock absorbers are intact. Like if you have a shock absorbers in your drone's landing gears, make sure they are free and they are in a motion. They can take that shock or that
Got
bump.
it.
Okay?
Got it.
If any part of the damage or missing, they will need to be ordered from you. Like in case DJI drones are there, if their landing stress or landing gear is damaged, you should replace with the proper OEM parts only. Okay? There
Got
you
it.
could try to say that landing gear क्या just pipe ही है ना, I can replace by any other pipe. I mean, I've seen people like you see this pipe is there. This is just a pipe, okay, but this is actually a carbon fiber pipe. So somebody might think that okay, मैं plastic का pipe डाल दूँगा. But that plastic का pipe may not withstand the weight or the way it lands on the ground. तो वो जब
Understood.
लैंडिंग होता है तो प्लास्टिक का पाइप टूट जाएगा और ब्रेक हो जाएगा एंड देन इट कुड फर्दर कॉज डैमेज टू योर ड्रोन आल्सो. So that is what you need to make sure. Okay, structural inspection for antennas. Check the antennas is proper and all the things. Ground stations also, like when you're setting a ground up ground station, maybe a remote controller or the ground station, the antennas, receivers, everything is proper. The antenna is been open condition when you are flying, in a proper straightforward direction. You should see that if there is no damage. Check the movement of your joysticks before
Right.
actually commencing the flight. Okay, battery inspection charger, check the docking station charger for each battery. This component can go often for years without like initially you will see the charger and everything works fine, but if these problems normally occurs after a year or maybe 1.5 years of operations. Okay, so check charger for any visual damages. Any visual check should ensure voltage specified. So whatever the standard specifications are there, standard usage is there. If it is functioning, giving you proper, then a lot of time we see that this green light on the charger, it takes time. So you may suspect that your charger may be not functioning properly. A lot of
Yes.
time the
Yes.
connectors on the charger or the connectors on the battery would get oxidized and they may not be connecting properly. So you may have to clean them with the isopropyl alcohol and the cotton bud or with the cloth or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
over the period हम लोग क्या करते हैं ना, sometimes we are not operating, we are not using drone or we are not using instruments, so we'll just keep anywhere the charger or the batteries also. They will be just lying somewhere in our house or place where it is. So over the period of time, because of the weather and all the things, condition of the air and all the things, those connectors, though they are made with a very good quality, you will see always these connectors of the battery or the charger, they are made with very good quality kind of thing. Okay, in that scenario also, over the period of time, they also get oxidized. Okay, so which will not have a good connect or contact when they are charging, and that's how you may not be getting a good time, or you're not getting your battery charged properly. It could be a problem at the charger end, or it could be a problem at the battery end also. So you have to inspect in case. That's your observation. Like if I know that my battery is getting charged within an hour's time, every time I charge, we should see this as a responsible pilot. That's why that battery log is also important. You need to maintain the battery log. So that battery log you need to keep a track and all that things. Okay. So battery again, the batteries also, like as I tell you, you should always number the batteries. Okay. So then check for any deformities or bulges or leakages. If you find any kind of thing, you should discard those batteries immediately. Okay, you should always replace with the proper or good quality of battery. Use
Yeah.
drone batteries, component batteries, additional component batteries for any damage. It could be some devices might be having their own separate batteries also for a specific time. Like for example, my RC has its own battery. My the ground control station would also have its own battery. So whatever components you are related to your RPAS, you should check regularly and if necessary, replace them with a good quality of. Okay, the voltage, cell voltage must not have a difference more than 0.2 volts. So if you find there are different cells like in 2 cell, 3 cell, 4 cell, 6 cell. So we are actually in drone we are normally using a 6 cell battery. So when we are measuring the voltages, we are measuring the voltage for all the cells. So first 1 cell, 2 cell, 3 cell. So if the difference between the voltages of each cell and you see there is a difference more than 0.2 volts, you should charge that battery properly to get that uniform voltage on all the cells.
Okay.
So this we'll see on the day 3 when we are actually charging our batteries. Okay.
Okay.
Then again, since our we are using DGCI certified drones, we are not supposed to change the software or firmware until unless it is important. But for other drones, wherever it is not a DGI certified drones like DJI drones, Parrot drones, or any other third party drones which is not under the type certification of DGCA, you should follow whatever the OEM specifies. If OEM specifies that you have to upgrade to the latest stable version of the firmware or the software, you should do it. Okay,
Okay.
so follow the procedure what is given in the manual, like using USB cable or wirelessly. You can do all those upgradation activities. Okay, update the control station software also, like whatever software you are using, whether you are using QGCS or maybe using mission planner or any third party software, whatever you are using on your control station, based on their developers, you should update it. So ignoring update may lead to unexpected errors. So if developers or the OEM is specified that you need to upgrade your GCS to the latest version, you should do it. Okay, so what could be the schedule for servicing? Okay, for airframe, propellers, motor, gimbal, landing gear, or camera. So
Hmm.
based on the component, you can define. Okay,
Okay.
so like for example, airframe आपको change करना है. So when it is airframe, so if it is damaged, then only you will normally change. Or regular servicing would be required maybe after 200 cycles or maybe 50 flights. Okay, so probably you may, or sometimes the airframe may get broke or something. So you may have to purchase a new frame and move the all the components from the drone to the new frame. So you have to assemble, reassemble in a new frame accordingly. Okay, propellers. These are the most important component which normally gets under wear tear because of the motion. Okay,
Okay.
then it is flowing through the atmosphere or dirt and dust and all the things. So the life span of the propeller is less because of the usage. So in that scenario you may have to remove and put the new propeller. So you should always have a spare propellers in your kitty. So normally in DJI, when you purchase a DJI drone, you will get a 4 propellers with the drone, but additionally either you might get 2 or more propellers, or you can order during the ordering of your drone also, or you can purchase them extra separately also.
Okay.
Okay, always consider of the direction, like when you are connecting the motor or the propeller, make sure the direction is very important. Okay, so like for this particular motor, this motor doesn't have a direction. This motor,
Okay.
based on the connectors connecting to the power connector, can either move in a counterclockwise or clockwise. But bigger motors, for a bigger industrial type of drones or a production drones, normally will always have a indication on it. So if it is a CW motor, you have to use that CW motor for CW location only, and it should always have a CW propeller also. So if you see here, this propeller, can you identify which is the leading edge and trailing edge?
Uh,
Or can you
yeah.
tell what is this motor or this propeller? Either it is a clockwise or anti-clockwise.
This motor is actually clockwise.
No, so, the propeller I'm
So,
talking.
sorry, propeller, propeller. Yes.
This is not clockwise.
This is anti-clockwise.
This is anti-clockwise. So if you see, this is your leading edge. This is
Okay.
your leading edge. So this is your leading edge.
Okay. Whatever you are explaining, I just assumed it in the opposite direction, right?
Correct. So this is your leading edge. So how do you identify leading edge? The thickness
Okay.
and the sharpness, the curvature. See here, sharp edge. You see tip here,
Yeah.
right? So this when you physically see it, this normally I will show it during the third day when we are physically seeing the drones. Then it
Okay.
becomes much clearer. Okay, you can identify the leading edge, trailing edge, and then based on the this is leading edge, trailing edge. So if you see this is leading edge, the air will be coming from this side. Your propeller will be moving this way. So the propeller is moving this way. So this is
Okay.
anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay, clear. Similarly,
Yes.
motor, like this motor is a very cheap motor, 400 rupees, 300 or 400 rupees. So this is
Okay.
a very cheap motor. Okay, this normally when you're assembling a drone for yourself or for just for learning purpose, you can use this motor. But high quality motors which cost more than 1200 rupees, 2000 rupees, they will be marked as CWLs because based on the armature and the orientation of the magnets, the direct. See, even in those motor also you can change, but those motors are been designed for that particular orientation.
Okay.
You can't
Okay.
CW. You can use it for CCW also by changing the this thing.
Got it. Got it.
Just a minute, I'm getting a
Yeah.
call from a printer. Okay, so power of the drone unit, disconnect the battery. Like whenever you are changing the motors and all things, you should make sure that whatever the procedure is there to change the motor, you should follow. If you are, and then again, if you are authorized and you are skilled to do this, then only you should do this. Okay, gimbal. Lot of time gimbals also get malfunction or problem or something or even thing. So if you are supposed to change the gimbal, you should change the gimbal by disconnecting all the batteries, change the gimbal, and then when you connect back, most important part is before flying, you have to test your gimbal for motions. Okay, panel tilt motion, check your camera is aligned with the gimbal and all that thing. So before flight, lot of people don't do it. They just change and fly. और पता चला वो gimbal हिल ही नहीं रहा है. Okay,
Got it. समझ गए.
and all it is maybe not aligned properly. Okay, it is not been stabilized properly or things. So when it is on ground itself, you should always do the testing and all the things. Okay,
समझ गए.
landing gear also, as I told you, a lot of time there are landing gear which are uh, which
Broken or misaligned or something like.
movable kind of the open end dismantle. So in that scenario also, you should check if there is a problem or it is damaged. Let's say after 100 flights, you will see there would be some stress, some blockage, or some damage to the landing gear. So in that, or sometimes the landing gear will also have a rubber stress. Okay, just to safeguard the actual landing gear also. So over the period of time, every time you land, take off, land. That rubber stress also get damaged, and that's how the drone is not landing parallel to the ground. Okay, so sometimes you will see tilt in your shape when it is land. So that time you should replace those rubber struts, okay, that is there to safeguard your actual landing gear also. Or totally your landing gear is damaged, then you replace it with a proper landing gear. Okay, again the camera also we talked about during gimbal also, like sometimes camera also becomes faulty or this thing, or your camera, you have a different types of camera you're changing, so you, when you're removing the old camera or the used camera, you make sure that you clean it and keep it in your case. Use a proper, lot of time you have a cover to cover the lens. A lot of people don't cover, or they
Yeah.
don't, they forget to remove the cover also during the flight also. ऊपर जाने के बाद पता चलता है कैमरा का कवर ही नहीं निकाला, फ्रंट कवर. So that scenario also you should see all these things. Okay, so that was about the drone equipments and maintenance part.
Okay.
Okay, so we have
I think, sir, about regarding this chapter, I'll have more better clarity when I see
on
the
day
drone.
three. On day three,
Yes, yes, yes.
day three, when you actually see the drone, then we can, we'll run through this again. We'll be talking about all these things practically when we are doing on day three.
Yeah,
Okay, when we are in the store, we will be removing the drone out because next day we have to get it ready, right?
yeah.
That point in time, we will actually seeing the actual drone and we'll be running through this module again. So we'll
Okay.
recollect, or we can just run through your summary sheet just to see what is what, and
Yeah, definitely.
that will help us to understand what is it. Okay, so let's do the next topic. So next topic is about the risk assessment and analysis of safety management. Okay, so after we finish this, we'll go for a lunch break.
Fine.
So this is not big topic, but there are some key scenarios which you need to know before
Okay.
you actually fly the drone. Let me know when it's visible to you.
Yeah.
See
It
the
is.
screen? Ah.
It is visible.
So risk assessment and analysis. Okay, so we should know what is the risk, what are the risk items we could have, or how do we have an emergency plan, or in case of risk that could have. See, there are something which, like when I'm driving a car, there is always a risk, right?
True.
Can I reduce that risk? No. Risk तो रहेगा ही ना कि I can dash to somebody, or somebody can dash me also, right?
Yeah.
But how do I minimize it? Like by safe driving, following the right procedures, doing all the things. But abhi suppose आप सब कुछ, you are following everything, but somebody comes from the opposite lane and he is doing something wrong, and he may dash you also. So
True.
risk तो
True.
है,
True. True.
right? So how do you minimize, or what is the plan you have to take care of that risk? So probably you might take insurance, right? Or
Huh.
sometimes if you don't take care of your car, maintenance, if you don't do maintenance, ब्रेकेज
Hmm.
होगा ना आपका, लाइक कभी आप फ्लाई ड्राइव कर रहे हो और बीच में जाके बिकॉज ऑयल इज नॉट चेंज फॉर अ ईयर, you will, your engine would get seized, or you are not service your radiator, or you are not put water in the radiator. After the water has been evaporated, your again your engine would get heat up, and it will
Yes.
not go further. So you have to stop your car and then try to get water, put the water in the I mean, you need to wait for some time to cool your engine, maybe 1 hour or something like that, or half an hour, and then get the water also by the time, maybe somewhat. Sometimes I've seen people, they don't get water on the road or thing, so they will use Bisleri, you know so they
Yeah.
put water, drinking water into the this thing. So you need to have a plan. You can't see that कि अरे मेरा अभी engine गर्म हो गया, अभी मैं क्या करूँ, that scenario cannot. So you should always have a, like your, the chance of when you're driving a car tire getting punctured is a issue or a risk. आपका टायर पंक्चर होगा तो क्या होगा? You cannot drive your car further. But
Yeah.
what is the plan in case you have a stepney? Okay,
Yeah, you should
stepney
have it.
is something which you have a plan, so that एक चारों टायर तो एक साथ पंक्चर नहीं होने वाले, एक
True.
आध कोई टायर होगा. That is what it is. Getting more than one tire puncturing at the same time is a very long, rare chance, and getting all four is very. But at least एक टायर एक्स्ट्रा रख सकते हैं हम लोग कार में, right, as a Stephanie. So in case
Yes.
at least I can put that near the Stephanie, take my car to the garage, give that puncture tire and get it repaired and replace back it also.
There
That,
should be a risk plan.
yeah. Similarly, petrol. Like petrol, you see there is a reserve. Petrol tank is divided into two sections. One is the normal section and one is the reserve section. So in reserve, you might have, let's say, 10 or sometime depending upon the capacity of the tank. Okay? So 10% of your tank capacity is in reserve. तो अगर आपका लेट्स से 50 लीटर का टैंक है, so 5 liter will be in reserve. So 5 liter, if your average of your car is let's say 10 kilometer per liter, even in 5 liter of petrol, you can go up to 50 kilometers, correct? And within a 50 kilometer, definitely you will have a petrol pump. That is how you have taken care of issues or emergency or risk item. So आपको नहीं पता
Understood.
चलेगा पेट्रोल अगर आपने इंडिकेटर नहीं लगाया रहेगा. If there is no indicator marking with the normal tank range and the reserve range, you will not know. So that's why these are things done for so that you don't end up into a emergency situation. अगर पेट्रोल खत्म हुआ तो क्या हो जाएगा? Middle of the road,
कुछ नहीं, अटक के बैठ जाओ वहाँ पे
अटक
और
जाओगे. You will be in trouble, right? Your operations or whatever your visit or whatever your plan will get disturbed. So you should not get into such kind of scenario. That's why we always design things such a way that any kind of emergency or a risk item could be there. We should foresee and we should have a plan to mitigate them. Not 100%, but to certain extent,
yeah.
right? जैसे अभी मेरा पेट्रोल खत्म हो रहा है, तो मेरे को मिटिगेट करने के लिए what I have done, just made a reserve tank into it, so that
Yeah.
at least I can safely reach to nearest petrol pump and refill my tank. Tire puncture हुआ तो I can always connect my Stephanie and go to certain extent and get my tire repaired over there, because when I am running on Stephanie I am again at the risk, because now in between अगर वापस कोई और टायर पंक्चर हुआ, you do not have any option. But at least by connecting the Stephanie you can go to the nearest garage, get your original tire repaired, you can get it replaced or keep that tire as a Stephanie then and continue your travel, right? ऐसा नहीं कि
Right.
आपने Stephanie लगाया तो आप चलो. Your
Right.
job is to make sure that you get it repaired so that further drive is again taken care. Lot of people do this mistake, right? Stephanie
Yes.
लगाया भूल जाते हैं और फिर चला जाता है और फिर वापस आगे जाके कभी तो और एक टायर पंक्चर होता है. And then they don't remember, अरे मैंने तो मेरा Stephanie तो पंक्चर था लास्ट टाइम, मैंने रिपेयर ही नहीं करवाया था, you know. So that
Yes.
is how you should have planned. So similarly in drone also there are some scenarios where you could encounter a problem. Okay, so what
Got
is
it.
the assessment? So you need to do assessment. Okay, so that's where that team comes. That safety management. We have seen, right? ARPA's का जो team form हुआ था ICAO में, there were people taken from different departments. So the people who are there from the safety management, they have come up with this procedure. Okay, where we talk about the risk assessment. So they will do
Got it.
risk. I mean, as a pilot also, I have to think. I have to do the risk assessment. It is a process of assessing the risk to people's safety and health for the workspace. Okay, it could be any hazardous. What is hazard? It could be a source, it could be a situation or an act with the potential for harm in terms of human injury or ill health or a damage to a property or a combination of these. Okay, example, lion out of his cage is a hazard.
Yes.
Has to be in a cage only. If it is outside, it is hazardous. Now, what is the risk? The combination of likelihood of occurrence of hazardous event. Lion being out is a risky item. So what could be the risk because of the lion being out of the out of the cage is hazard situation. But what could be the risk because he being out of the cage? He
Yeah.
could injure or kill people.
Yeah, these are the risk management
Yeah.
principles, right?
So hazard events or exposure or the severity of injury or ill health that can cause that can
Like
be
event
caused
or
by the
exposure.
event or exposure. Okay. So what is emergency? Emergency is a situation that possess an immediate risk to the health, life, property, or
Environment.
environment. Any unforeseen combination of circumstances or resulting state that calls for immediate action. That means whenever there is an emergency, we should make sure that, see, there is a difference between urgency and emergency. Yeah,
Yeah.
urgency is could be a problem, but not necessarily like petrol bharna, reserve mein lagna is a urgency, but it is not an emergency.
Urgency is like the action that needs
Yeah,
attention.
you can delay the corrections, you can
Yeah.
delay, right? But emergency means you have to act, you have to take a call on it. Lion being out of the cage is hazardous, risky, and as well as emergency, so you should immediately call forest officers, or you take precautions, whatever is you best you can. You can't go and catch the lion by your own hand, right? Like for example, lot of times during the monsoon, snakes comes inside the societies, right? They
Yeah.
come out of the water, getting into their hiding places or holes. They try to come out on the surface, and they enter the warm places, or within the parking area or something like that. So if you see the snake, you should always call fire brigade, okay, or the people from the department who takes care of this, or people, if there is somebody nearby who is a what we call that snake friend, what we call that person who catch the snakes and he takes it and away and drops that snake into the
Uh,
forest area. Those people are there, friend of a snake, what is that called? So those people who are trained to catch the snake and all that thing. So that way it is, okay. So, what kind of emergency can occur? The emergency could be the fire, it could be the medical, it could be environmental, it could be human, it could be technical also. Hardware or
yeah.
software emergencies can be. Emergencies can be reduced or mitigated by preparing an emergency plan. So, you should always have so you should plan. Like for example, I am charging my batteries in my store. Okay, so what risk I do see? कभी तो मेरा बैटरी में कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है. Sometimes my battery can caught fire also. So
Yes.
what plan I have? I have kept my fire extinguishers in my stores,
Right.
right? I, because of that fire, sometimes even though I have kept fire extinguishers, that is only to safeguard the battery. But ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि when मैं battery charge करते पे कुछ fire हो सकता है, कुछ हो सकता है. I can also get, I mean, I may get injured of that. Okay, so the medical problem could occur, or human problem could occur, problem to the human or thing. तो उनसे
Understood.
क्या करूँगा? तो I'll keep a first aid box in my store. So I will also have a first aid box in my store. Like that, you should plan emergency. You don't know what kind of emergency could come into scenario. So you should foresee those items, foresee those challenges. Okay, like in a resort, like normally in resort you will see people keep fire extinguishers, medical kit, or they may keep sorry, not wind, sand buckets, for fire and all that thing. So whatever safety precautions or security precautions you need to take, you need to foresee them. Okay. An emergency plan specifies the procedure for handling sudden or unexpected situations. So your job of identifying the risk assessment is to identify risk and build a emergency plan around it, because that risk item can become real, not necessarily immediate hoga, but in future it can, risk item can be foreseen, and you can always see that it can happen in near future. And to counter it or mitigate, you should have a plan. Okay, because
Okay.
you never know when those risk item or those issues can occur.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's see what are the emergency procedures can happen with respect to the drone operations I'm talking about. There are hundreds of, like fire, जैसे मैंने आपको दिया, बैटरी का एग्जांपल दिया,
हाँ.
इंजरी हो सकता है तो मेडिकल हो सकता है, ह्यूमन can fall sick while flying the drone and all the things. So in that scenario, we may have to stop his operations. He have to take a rest. Like हम लोग open field में fly कर रहे हैं, like in afternoon we are flying,
Understood.
it's very heat. So you may feel fatigue after a period of time. You get
Mhm.
dehydrated because you are standing under the sun. You make sure you have to keep hydrated yourself. So you may, like I have ordered a water dispenser for the field. Okay, so maybe I will have a water dispenser on the field itself. Right now,
Okay.
I do not have a water dispenser on the field, so I may carry water bottles on the field when
Understood.
I'm flying. So that's how you manage the situations, or you have some plan around it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now with respect to the drone, you could have an emergency like loss of communication or control link. So what could be the possible effect because of the loss of communication or control link? Your RPAS can crash
Crash.
into one or more buildings. I mean, it depends upon wherever you are flying. Obstacle resulting in widespread secondary injury to humans for US debris or building damages. So depending upon where, what scenario you are flying the drone, accordingly, if there is a loss of communication or control link, definitely your RPAS could end up causing the crash or further more damage. It could injure the human being or it could injure the property also. Okay, but what is my contingency plan for such scenarios? So communication failure will also trigger the smart return to home where aircraft returns at a safe altitude. Okay, so normally what happens, there is a communication handshake is happening between the drone and the remote control. If drone is sensing that it is not able to communicate with the remote control, and remote control is not able to send signal to the drone, in that scenario there is a configuration done in the drone where it will trigger the RTH, that is return to home. Okay,
Okay.
or maybe your drone would be flying at a, it will not move from one place, it will just keep on flying at one particular location at one particular altitude also. Okay,
Understood.
till the battery gets over. Okay, so we'll see that next option also, what happens if the you will think that battery over हो जाएगा तो सर drone crash हो जाएगा, but there is some
Hmm.
mechanism also said that it will not complete the battery over. Like आपका 100% battery है, so you can set a threshold of 40%. Like as it reached 40% of battery, it should trigger a landing of the drone.
Okay.
Cannot fly drone up to 40%. So normally, though the threshold is set at 40%, we will fly drone only up to 50% only. So when we are actually flying a drone on the field, we'll see that from 100% till 50% only we will be flying the drone. After 50%, we'll always land the drone and replace the batteries. Okay,
Okay.
that's how you will improve your efficiency of drone battery also, as well as because it is not advisable always to discharge the battery completely and charge it. Okay,
Okay.
so if you do that, you may reduce your charging cycle of your drones. So you should do it up to threshold like 40-50%, whatever OEM is specified. Based on that, you should use your battery appropriately.
Got
Okay,
it.
that way you get more cycles. So these are some SOPs or procedures also you should. So it's not that कि आपने drone ले लिया. You should read your manual properly. There would be some instructions with respect to your operations or maintenance or whatever it is. You should follow that. Lot of time हम क्या बोलते हैं, वो manual आता है, ये इतना बड़ा manual है, कौन पढ़ेगा? We just throw it away. But for such equipment like cameras, आप camera purchase करते हो, mobile, in fact mobile also, lot of time we purchase mobile, company always have a manual with it, we never read that manual. हम लोग क्या सोचते हैं, मोबाइल ले आया, I know how to use it, but we should read that manual at least once, go through it. Lot of importance are there. If you follow those, it will give you more better performance of your device.
Got it.
So there is a setting called FSCOM. Okay, that setting is there. Feature is available to counter this type of emergency. Okay, and then again, when we are flying a drone in a particular area, you should always possibility that drone may go further from your area or outside your flying requirements. So in that scenario, what you can do, what will happen? It could always have a mid-air collision with another manned or unmanned aircraft, or it may crash into the building or obstacles, and that crash debris could injure people or on the ground or the property also. Okay, the flyaway emergency can occur due to GPS or hardware software failure, which is known as straying.
Staying.
Okay, in that scenario, what is the feature, what is the safety feature provided by the drone rules? Geofencing.
Geofencing is always
Yeah. So you should always have a the geofencing enabled, enabled, so that you set a virtual boundary so that your drone never goes out of that virtual geofencing boundary. Okay, your height is already fixed within your drone, so you can't fly above 400 feet, whereas you can define, because you will be flying drone in different locations. So wherever you are flying, first thing is that you should set your geofencing on your drone. Okay, so geofencing is always enabled, and you even as a sensible or responsible pilot, you should always see that you're flying the drone in a proper planned way. Okay, geofencing is additional feature so that it safeguards your, you know, drone getting strayed or, you know, fly away situations.
Got it.
Even you're flying, you should know your area where you're flying. Okay, like battery power loss or failure. Okay, in case your battery is completely dropped, sometimes it could happen also, like all of a sudden your battery loses connector or power or anything, you know, maybe something like that. In that scenario, there is no option, the drone will definitely crash. But in case of your battery getting discharged, you know, you will always set a threshold. So in case your battery power is, you know, not stable, fluctuating, so normally you will see uncontrolled descent or landing and could cause serious injury to many persons on the ground or possibly fatalities, or chances of mid-air fire. Sometimes battery also get fire. Like हमने EV cars देखा रहेगा ना, कभी कभी fly drive करते हुए lot
हाँ.
of EV cars get, you know, all of a sudden the fire. In that scenario, it is always advised that in a EV car you keep a extinguisher. राइट, अब तक हमने पेट्रोल कार या डीजल कार में कभी एक्सटिंग्विशर्स नहीं रखे थे, बट इन ईवी कार इट इज ऑलवेज एडवाइज दैट यू शुड कीप एटलीस्ट अ स्मॉल फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर. ओके, सिमिलरली व्हेन ड्रोन इज फ्लाइंग, तो हमको ग्राउंड पे भी एक एक्सटिंग्विशर रखना चाहिए ड्यूरिंग द फ्लाइंग. In case you find a fire because of the battery or something, you should immediately land and you should use fire extinguisher. Okay, or possibly it's a complete battery loss of power, you could also have a crash landing, as I said earlier. What is
Got
the
it.
contingency plan in case of loss of power? If your battery is reducing its power very frequently and all those things, so you should trigger. I mean, either you could trigger because you are also monitoring when you're flying, you're monitoring your battery performance also. Okay, so you know how the battery is performing over the period of time you are flying. If you feel that battery is giving some problem or something, you can always trigger manually the RTH or RTM. Okay, or if the threshold is set, that is FS bat. Okay, if there is that the certain voltage, beyond certain voltage or beyond certain percentage, it should trigger autonomously the RTM. Okay, so that can also be set, that is already been configured into the drones. Okay, so this FS bat setting also could be done, so that particular setting voltage level or maybe at the percentage of your battery, it will trigger RTM. Okay, sometimes even loss of control. Okay, so in that, undesired flight trajectory could cause mid-air collision with another airpass or manned aircraft.
Got it.
Landing could cause serious injury to many person or ground or possible. So what could be the possibility, like stabilization and position hold based on GPS, INS reduction under uncontrolled action risk. Okay, so based on the scenario, drone is been configured in a such a way that they are able to handle this kind of emergencies. Okay.
Okay.
In case drone is not able to do because of some loss in control or something like that, you pilot should always take control of the drone. Maybe he has to fly the drone in a manual mode. Okay, in that manual mode, and he should land the drone or try to recover the drone from that I mean loss of control. I mean loss of control means drone is not flying properly as it's supposed to be flying. So then
Yeah.
in that scenario, for example, it is in a loiter mode, drone may has to put in a manual mode, and then the pilot may take a complete control of the drone, and he may bring that drone back to the manually to the landing or home position, or maybe if that is far, he may land the drone then and there itself only, if the provided the surface is proper landing condition.
Got it.
Okay, unsuccessful landing or flight termination. So possibly, sometimes while landing also we may not land things properly and all the things. So in that scenario, we'll always, when we are using a landing, we'll always use a feature called RTL. Okay, so we always prefer the drone to come back to the same position from where it has been taken off, or there
Okay.
is an option where we can trigger manually a landing also. Like if I do not want to do it at the home location or launch location, I want to
Achha.
land wherever it is, the drone to land over there, so I can trigger a land from the software, I mean from the button on the control itself. So I'll just
Okay.
press land, automatically the drone on its own will land.
Okay.
Okay, So these are the procedures we'll normally do. Since our currently our landing zone or this thing is not, I would say, not so plain. Okay, we are in process. We just got authorization, and we tried to get it as much planned. We have more plans to it. Like we want to build a vertiport over there. We want to build a helipad over there, and all the things. So we have already working with vendors to get this thing done. We are trying to plant some trees and put paved tiles, a sitting area, and all the things we are want to develop on our base. So
Okay.
as of now, it is at the initial stage of our location. Okay,
Got it.
whereas maybe down the line 6 months or maybe in my 1 year time, that entire area will completely change, and it will be like a better place for flying the drones or landing the drones. Probably
Hmm.
by that time the vertiport and all that things will also come into the picture. So we would, or BVLS things also will be coming into the picture. So with that respect to that, we are just waiting what is that to be done on our ground. As of now, whatever the bare minimum is required for the training, we have everything on the ground.
Okay.
Okay, a plain ground which is required.
Got it. Got it.
So normally when we are flying a drone, we'll do a flying or we'll take off manually the drone. But when we landing, because of little bit gravels or stones are there on the ground, so chances of drone not getting landing properly will always trigger the RTM. Okay, when we are landing the drone, until unless you have a very smooth surface, standard surface. Like we have also put a order for a big rubber mattings also, so that temporary we can safeguard the drone as it lands on the ground. So
Hmm.
okay, when we have a concrete ground, concrete is again a hard ground, right? So then we need to protect the landing gear from bumping on the concrete ground, so we'll put a rubber matting on it. Okay, soft rubber matting on it, fix the soft loading so that your drone can safely land on the rubber mat, so you will not have much damage to your landing gear, as well as that shock will not impact the frame of the drone also.
Hmm. Got it.
Okay, then this is something, as of now this condition is not, what we say, not so important as of now, but in near future this is possibility is there. Okay, so hostile remote takeover or control of your RPAS. Okay, somebody can remotely take over control of your drone or maybe of your control station and all these things.
Yeah.
So you need to have possibility of all the, see, end of the day your control station is nothing but it's like a laptop only. Okay, so it also has an operating system, and on top of that there is some software running which is called ground control station software. Okay, so possibility somebody could take a remote of that device, or maybe from once he takes the control of the GCS, he may able to control the drone functionality also. So how do you, what is the possible effect? First is one of more ARPAs intentionally, like somebody may take a control and crash it, okay, into manned or unmanned aircraft, or intentionally crash into the vital infrastructure or important dignitary or property. Like we have seen these kind of incidents a lot of places in past, right? So what is the possibility? Like DGCS say that nobody should have access to the software or the hardware of that particular devices. So you could not open, even you are not authorized to open the drone canopy also. Like they will have a very specific type of screws which
Okay.
cannot be opened by a normal screwdriver or anything like that. Okay, or even your softwares, they are being given a hardware locks or the software locks are there. So you cannot, even you connect a cable and you try to do upgradation or do some modification in the software is not possible, because it will always ask for a key. Okay, until is that key is not there, is a separate login create for doing the maintenance part of the software part also. So,
Okay.
so in that scenario, you will be only having access to that software from a usage perspective or a user perspective, not from the admin perspective. Like how in offices we have a laptop, we have a laptop for with our own login, which may have a restricted access, but there would be an administrator who would be taking care of your laptops and your devices. They would have a full access to the devices. Okay, so they will,
Understood.
that's why how the control is there. The software interface used for firmware access is protected by password protection, and access is not provided to any customer. So if you are a customer, you will not have access to that internals of the software or hardwares also. Okay, so this is just a last slide. Threat and error management, that is TEM. Threat and error management is an overreaching safety concept regarding the aviation operations and human performance. The TEM for framework. So as of now, you do not have much thing planned or come up on this particular lines, because still worldwide drones are being flown into a very small segment and small operational
True,
kind of it.
true.
So we are not still talking about.
Incidence of usage is not that much that
Once
incidence
you
of
start utilizing
errors will be
drone
that
from,
much.
yeah, once you start usage for supplies or using for drone taxis or bigger scale, the usage of the drone increases many folds, then only this will become more effective and more important. Okay, as of now they have just conceptually model has been created, and they are trying to build. I mean, people are doing research on this, people are writing SOPs around this, so that what is required for analyzing the threat and error management, and how these are interrelated to each other from the safety and human performance in dynamic and challenging operational context. So there are three basic components of the TEM framework, that is threats, errors, and undesired aircraft states. The threats are generally defined as the event or error that occurs beyond the influence of line personnel, increase operational complexity, and which may manage to maintain the margin of safety.
Safety.
Okay, errors are generally defined as action. So if you see threats are basically like, for example, I'm flying a drone near the power line towers. So there are challenges for me. Threats could be happening.
Okay.
I may accidentally bump into the power line tower, or maybe the power line wire itself also, which could
Mm-hmm.
cause damage to the wire tower as well as to my operational activities also. So that complexity is there. So you need to be sensible as well. So same time, errors generally defined as action or inaction by a line personnel that leads to deviation from organizational or operational intentions or expectations. Like initially
Mm-hmm.
when we are flying a drone near the power line tower, we were not knowing that what could be the electromagnetic impact on my drone flight. So I have actually got two drones, Mavic drones, old, small drones. When I was initially trying to see what is my pilots unintentionally got drones damaged. Okay, so they're actually, these drones are not magnetically shielded, so their sensors had got some problem, so they were not able to, we were not able to fly. So when we checked with the GI service center, they said you need to replace the entire motherboard. Okay, which was
Okay.
costing almost near to about same amount of drone itself. Okay, so there was a marginally difference and all these things. So we were trying to find out if we can get a cheaper or things, or probably we may discard those drones and may purchase a completely new drone. Okay, because Mavic was not giving me whatever the performance or whatever the inputs required for that particular drone to fly. So I have discarded almost two drones during that point in time. Okay, so then we purchase a different type of drones for our operations. Okay, so errors could be intentionally or unintentionally also could happen. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like unknowingly I was flying the drone very close to the tower, it may, because of the magnetic effect, it has damaged. But if I know that over my learning experience, I know my drone should be flown near the tower with a range of 5 meters away from the tower. If I
Mm-hmm.
try to breach that purposely, then definitely the problem could happen with my drone or all things. So I should always maintain that 5 meter corridor. Okay. Undesired states, generally defined as operational condition where unintended situation results in reduction in margin of safety. So like undesired, I do not. I mean, I do not know. Initially, when I was flying drone, I was not doing, or my pilot was aware of the magnetic effects of the flying the drone near the tower. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm flying a tower. I'm maybe flying a drone on the railway line structure. So in a electric segment of the railway line, I may not have to fly drone or near the those high tension wires. Okay, because
Okay.
they will sometimes accidentally I may touch, or maybe they also have an induction around that wires. So
Mm-hmm.
you should see safely how, because sometimes they just send a spark, or they may just send a some magnetic or electric effect on the
Okay.
drone, and that cause an undesired state to the my drone also. Okay, so this is a topic which needs to be more studied, more to be evolved, and as we have more experience of flying and all that, probably this would give us more knowledge and more experience and how we can avoid such kind of scenarios.
Okay.
So with this, what could be the emergency identification? It could be a pilot error, heavy winds,
Elements.
loss of altitude, that is IMU failure,
Yeah.
remote control failure, compass failure, motor coupler getting damaged, or
Many.
even the medical emergencies. I may fall sick. I may not be
Yeah.
in a position to fly drone for a longer period of time. So in this emergency situations, we should take the take appropriate emergency plan. You should have emergency plans for all these things. Okay,
Yeah.
clear. So with this, we complete our
Risk assessment.
emergency handling or risk topic. Okay. Risk assessment analysis with respect to the safety management or threat and error management.
Yeah.
In future, it will be not called as a safety management, but it will be called as a threat and error management. Okay.
Hmm.
So any questions so far on this?
No, not as such.
Right. So we are almost on time. We just overshooted by 5 minutes. So 1:35. We are good for lunch break. So let's have a good lunch and come back for two topics which are remaining. In fact, three topics which is remaining: payload installation and utilization, and the introduction to drone data
And
and
analysis.
analysis. And then lastly, we will run through the digital sky platform, which where I will show you different overview of the platform or the website of DGCA, where what is what, whatever we have learned in last 2 days with respect to the drone rules, or of all the things what we have spoken about it, whatever where it is, all that things we'll see in the. Have you got a time to go through the drone rules document also, in case I
No
can
sir, I haven't gone through it yet. तो
problem? So no
बेसिक्स का मैंने
problem.
पहले 2 पेजेस जो है वो पढ़े हुए हैं,
Uh-huh.
बट वो इन डेप्थ पर मैं अभी तक नहीं गया.
Yeah, yeah. So no problem. We will anyway run through when we are running the digital sky platform. So on digital sky platform, even that document is available. So I will show you the location also from where you can actually download that document also. So in case you do not find a document or you don't need, you can always go online, and from there itself you can download that document or read that document online there itself.
Okay.
So with this, we complete today's morning session and we'll go for lunch break. Okay.
Okay sir.
Thank you. I'll just disconnect and we'll connect back after 1 hour.
Okay.
Okay. Chalo, bye.